Hello everybody and welcome to another Archetype video here at Playing Board Games. I am, as always, Justin, joined by the two other Arkham Horror fans on this channel, Bryn and Travis. Fans, you know, we love the game and we love making videos, and this week's video is about the Mystic Spells Event Matters deck. Spells, Events Matter. I could not have said it more awkward. It'll be better in the YouTube video, I declare that right now. But this archetype, it's a bit different than other Mystic archetypes where you just want your spells in play to deal damage, like the spell assets. This one revolves particularly around the events in that have the spell trait in this game. If you don't know what the trait is, it is the little italicized text that says what type of card it is, and you'll see it on some of these cards when we get to the next slide. So the goal of this archetype is to use these spell events to their maximum potential, reducing their cost, recurring them from their graveyard, from the discard pile, or just using them over and over and over again to their maximum potential. What we have here for our starting slide, we got Marie Lambeau. So how does, Travis, you have played Marie Lambeau the most. Why does she excel in this archetype?
Because she gets a free action to play spells.
Yes.
So if you're only playing spell cards, it's like you get free action every turn. You just get to have Leo in play all the time.
Mm-hmm. And that's sweet.
And all you gotta do is have Doom on something.
Yeah, and that is less scary than it sounds, and is also actually easier to do than it sounds as we get to these last cards on this page. And why is more turn good for people who might not know why more actions are good?
Well, you get to do 3 things a turn, and doing 4 things a turn is more.
Yep. Yeah. Next up, we got Agnes Baker, specifically the parallel version. If you don't know what the parallel versions are, they are like print and play investigators available right now for Agnes Baker, Daisy Walker, and Skids O'Toole. For everyone's asking, yes, we will get to parallel investigator content eventually. I have not played with them, and I assume you guys have not played with any of the parallel investigators?
No.
Yeah, it's
I've theory crafted some stuff for Daisy, but like I don't want to play her.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we haven't had the time to put them into play, and like once we actually like find the time in our schedule, we have like a big list of things we want to do. We will get to parallel investigators because lots of people are asking, but for the time being, you're still just going to have to wait. So as an additional cost to play a spell event, you may take 1 damage. If you do, reduce the cost to play that event by 2, and you may shuffle that event back into your deck instead of discarding it. This reads right here like awesome synergy with the archetype. So if you want to be a little bit spicy, you could build a parallel Agnes deck to take advantage of spell events matter, this archetype. Arcane Initiate, the level 0 and the level 3 version. These, when they enter play, the level 0 must get Doom. The level 3, you could place Doom, so this enables Marie Lambeau's ability. But the exciting thing is their Lightning Bolt ability, which you exhaust them, and it search the top 3 cards of your deck for a spell card, and then draw it and shuffle your deck. This just gives you more spells to play with, and basically just gives you card draw, which is always
yeah, these cards
thing.
are like actually kind of the backbone of this archetype.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be able to ensure that you have constant spells going. Travis, I'll pass these ones to you.
First up, I mean, these are actually all economy options, now that I look at them. Uncage the Soul is a staple in most Mystic decks because not only does it act as when you're playing a spell or a ritual, it's like a better emergency cash because it reduces the cost by 3, but also you get to spend the action at the same time. It costs you 1 less action to actually play the thing. And it also commits for 2 brain symbols, which is guts is good if you've watched any of our new player deck guides, and brain is particularly important for Mystic characters. Then we got 2 versions of the Robes of Endless Night. This is a relatively new addition from the Investigator decks. The level 0 version costs 3 to play, commits for 1 foot, and when you play a spell card, you exhaust it to reduce the cost of that card by 1. It takes up a body slot, which is a fantastic slot for take up because not many important things take up that slot.
Mm-hmm.
It can also soak 2 heart damage. Then the level 2 version only costs 2 instead of 3, commits for an extra brain icon, and still gives you the cost reduction, but playing the card also does not provoke attacks of opportunity, which is nice for when you're engaged with enemies sometimes.
Notably as well, like this one is like a lower priority upgrade, but even just like the difference from 3 to 2 is going to be huge in this deck because this archetype is very resource intensive. Like, and having just the basic one, reducing all your card cost by 1, is very helpful for getting there. So you might be thinking like I should be doing this upgrade sooner rather than later, but when we get to Travis's deck in the end, I believe he stayed with just the basic one. I could be wrong on that. But there's every resource that you can squeeze out of this deck, the better time you'll have being able to play all of these cards you're going to play, because you're going to be playing a lot of spells and costly cards to take full advantage.
Yeah, it's like anytime you play a spell, you get a money back.
Yeah.
This is great. The last one we have here is the Shine Trapezohedron. This one's from the Dream Eater cycle. Costs 1 to play, 4 experience put into your deck. Takes up the accessory slot, which is hotly contested in most Mystic decks. So you will not see this one too often. But what it does is when you would pay the cost of a spell card, you can exhaust the Trapezohedron. Instead, you test your Brain X, where X is the amount you were going to pay. If you succeed, you get to play it without paying its cost. And if you fail, then it goes back to your hand, and you can't play cards with that name for this turn, I believe.
Remainder of the round, yeah, so this turn.
Yeah. This one, again, like it's tough without playing Railcard to justify playing this over something like Holy Rosary or St. Hubert's Key for a lot of Mystics, but it is a very nice economy engine, especially on lower difficulties where you're going to be able to pass those high brain tests more often.
Yeah, definitely.
Alternatively, if you have something that benefits from those, from making lots of tests like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to take this one because I think the next one has a Bryn special card on it, so I'll take these guys. Word of Command. It's a 2-cost, 2 experience spell event. Name a spell card, search your deck for 1 copy of the named card, and draw it. Shuffle your deck. When you have some powerful spell cards that you want to play, Word of Command can just... It's essentially a slightly more expensive version of that spell in your deck. Being able to search for your deck and find what you need when you want to is very powerful. This is especially great, maybe not so much for the events in this deck, but like say you want to get like your Sixth Sense out and going. This is essentially another copy of your Sixth Sense in your deck that you can get on your first turn. They just need to pay a little bit extra to get it. It's good for consistency. Consistency is key to coming out on top. Yeah. Arcane Research. This card we highly recommend it put into your deck. It's kind of bonkers busted. It's permanent. When you purchase Arcane Research, suffer 1 mental trauma. That sounds scary. I promise you it really actually isn't. When you build your Mystic decks especially, the Investigators have high horror value, and they can soak horror really well. Like, for example, your Arcane Initiates. The level 3 one has, I believe, 3 horror on it when it comes in. If you choose to do the Doom. And like that's just a lot of soak that basically just negates the downside, quote unquote, of Arcane Research. The upside of Arcane Research is that after each scenario of a campaign, reduce the experience cost of the first spell card you upgrade before the next scenario by 1. Cards now, if you haven't watched our video about 5 cards we wish were tabooed, Travis brought up a good point of the negative side that this brings to the game design, where spells are now costed experience with Arcane Research in mind, to the point where if you don't put it into your deck and you want to upgrade your spells, you are going to fall behind what you should actually be with the experience that you're spending. It's a must include right now for Mystics who are looking to play a spell-heavy deck. Even if you're not looking to play a spell-heavy deck, being able to get like a free Ward of Protection upgrade in multiplayer between scenarios is like chef's kiss. That's great. We got Diana Esperance. She has 3 secrets, 3 meat soak and 1 horror soak. As a lightning bolt, you can attach a non-weakness spell event from your hand to Diana and limit 1 per event attached to her. She has the meat soak, but you don't No, you just spend the secrets. Never mind. I'm thinking of someone else.
Yeah.
So with the
We
3
do that
secrets,
every time this card comes up, Justin.
Every
Literally every time.
single
Someone's
time.
like, I can't believe this doesn't take damage.
yeah, it feels like it should, doesn't it? It should hurt her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the attached event can be played as if it was in your hand, and it's not placed in the discard pile after it's played, and it only just costs an exhaust and a secret from Diana Esperance. So that one card that puts man, she's great. She's very strong each time, and she should have been in our video of cards we don't play enough. Like she's strong.
Every time you're just like, damn.
Yeah, every time. Great card. Allows you to play. This is like when I was talking in the video where the goal of this archetype is to play your cards more and more. This allows you to do that, obviously. This is especially great with stuff like water protection, being able to have 3 water protections. From one card, that's value. Last up here, we got Vermis Mysterious. You can exhaust it's an item in a tome, takes up a hand slot, which is not too competitive in the Mystics. For most Mystics, I think the only one who really cares about them is Jin, because of his dang trumpet. As an action, you can exhaust a Vermis Mysterious and place 1 Doom on it. Play a spell or insight event from your discard pile, reducing its resource cost by 1. After that event resolves, remove it from the game. This is just another way to play your cards again and again and again. Well, again, and then it's gone. But it also reduces the cost by 1, so there's a bit of a resource reduction in there. It also enables the Doom from Marie Lambeau, which is good, because more turn is always great. Bryn, I think this one... Yeah, sorry, this one has astral travel, so I'll pass this one to you.
All right. We got Prescient, which is a skill that commits for a brain, and max 1 committed per skill test. After you commit it to a skill test, you name even, odd, or symbol. After the test ends, if you revealed a token of the chosen type, you get to return a spell card from your discard pile to your hand. So this is just a way to be able to recur your spell events, or any type of spell, really. Mm-hmm. But for the purpose of this video, your spell events. We got Astral Travel, which is a 3-costed spell event. It commits for a brain or a foot. And it is move. Move to any revealed location and reveal a random token from the bag. If you reveal a symbol token, then you must discard an item or ally asset you control. If you can't, you take 1 damage. You get to move so far.
Yeah.
Literally, well, not literally anywhere, figuratively anywhere. You have to have been there before. But discarding an item or an ally is really not as big of a deal as it would be if this was not a purple card. Mm-hmm. Because there are many purple cards, like the Arcane Initiates, that come into play with Doom on them or otherwise use Doom.
Yeah, or
sometimes you don't want them.
Yeah, or even the Vermis Mysterious, right? You could just be like, I'm done with this book. It can go into the ether.
Yeah. Either I move and nothing happens to me, or I move and I don't have to worry about the book anymore. Mm-hmm. Card is solved. We got the 2 Deny Existences. The level 0/1 commits for a wild, but you really shouldn't. It's a spell event that is fast. Play when any counter card or enemy attack would cost you to do one of the following. Choose 1. Discard cards from your hand. Lose resources. Lose actions. Take damage, or take horror. Ignore that aspect of the effect. The level 5 one is more or less the same. Commits for a wild, but don't.
Yeah, really
this one is...
You commit a level 5 Deny Existence to a test, we will mail it to you and I will slap you.
Yeah, honestly,
the
wild icon on level 5 Deny Existence, I think, is just there as bait. It's a trap.
Yeah, it is a trick. Like, if you're committing it to a test and that test doesn't literally win you the scenario right now, rethink your life. Or at least your current choices.
Yeah.
This version is the same as the first, but instead of simply ignoring the effect, we ignore that aspect of the effect, then we perform the opposite of that effect. So the game says take 3 horror, we're like, nah. But also not the next time either, because we just healed 3 horror.
It's juicy.
You gotta
it feels
discard
great.
all your resources. How many resources do you have? Gain that many.
Man, you get a level 5 Deny Existence on Diana Esperance. Oh, baby. Let's go.
Get to ignore the game for a bit.
Travis, I'll pass these ones to you.
Read the signs. 2 money. Commits for a brain and a book. You investigate. You add your brain value to your skill value for this test. You add your brain to your book. Keep in mind it is still a book test though, so you can't boost it with brain boosting things. You may ignore any effect or keyword on your location, which would trigger this investigation. If you succeed, discover one additional clue at your location. In many cases, this card is basically paying 2 money to get an extra clue and automatically succeed your investigation. It's a fantastic card, and it's one of them staple Mystic cards that I start with in most of the decks, and I need a reason not to be playing it. Mm-hmm. Spectral Razor is part of the same cycle where it costs 2, commits for a brain, and then punch, and you fight. You add your brain to the skill value for this attack, so again, it's still a punch test, and immediately before this attack, you can engage the attacked enemy, which is huge.
Yeah.
It's like it's so much action efficiency to be able to pull an enemy off your cleaver or just like grab an aloof enemy and gut them with this.
Yeah.
And then the attack deals +1 damage or +2 damage instead if the enemy is not elite. This like one-shots a lot of troublesome enemies, and it's a really good card.
Yeah.
Again, this one makes it into a lot of my Mystic decks, even if they're not necessarily monster fighting oriented.
Yeah.
Then we got 2 copies of Storm of Spirits over here. Level 01 is 3 money, commits for Brain and Fist. You fight, you use Brain instead of Fist, and if you succeed, instead of doing the regular damage, the attack deals 2 damage to each enemy at your location. And if you have something that boosts your extra damage, like Hatchet Man, I guess, could boost this, then that extra damage doesn't go to everything. It just goes to the initially attacked enemy. Mm-hmm. If you reveal one of the symbol tokens, then you'd also deal 1 damage to each investigator your location. Then from Return to Path of Kirkos, there's an upgrade version which commits for an extra fist and costs you 3 experience. This one gives you +2 brain for the attack, and if you succeed, you get to chunk everything for 3, but if you draw a symbol, all the investigators your location take 2. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, like many Mystic upgrades, it's like higher upside but higher risk.
Yeah.
And it's just something you gotta live with.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That one will be sick for the griefing video, though. You play that with that card that lets you repeat at a symbol effect. Like, oh no, everyone takes 2 damage, let's do it again.
Oh no. Oh no, I'm not looking forward to that video. Oh, this slide's so easy. All right. We got Time Warp. This is another spell event that can be very helpful to replay if you are looking for that kind of stuff, or just being able to play cheaper is really nice. It's fast. Play immediately after an investigator at your location finishes resolving an action during their turn. Undo that action. Yes, just press Control Z. Maybe not in Tabletop Simulator. Sometimes it causes it to crash, but in real life, you just undo that action. It never happened. Return the game state to exactly the way it was before that action was performed, including that action's cost. So that's sweet. Ward of Protections. These are like Mystic staples. If you're not running them in your deck, I highly advise you run them. The level 0 version in the core set is fast. Play when you draw a non-weakness treachery card. Cancel that card's revelation effect, then take 1 horror. If you can stop an Ancient Evils, it is a good scenario. So just, it's a good turn anytime that can happen. You can also stop other things that might scare you, except for, obviously, enemies and non-weakness treachery cards, but there's a lot of power there. Ward of Protection, level 2. This is the multiplayer one. It's when any investigator at any location draws a non-weakness treachery card. If you're playing multiplayer, great thing to pick up, especially good with the Arcane Research, the 2 experience that I said. This goes from level 0 to level 2. You get it for free with that card. The level 5 version...
For me personally, the level 2 one's probably my most upgraded card in this game.
Same here. The level 5 one, while strong, in multiplayer especially, is not worth it because it only works for you still. And yes, you cancel any non-weakness encounter cards, so that includes enemies. You can just say, no, I do not want it. That's like kind of like a solo thing if you're really worried, but the level 5 one is kind of played the least in this group, and that's just because the level 2 one is so good for multiplayer. Like, it's really good for multiplayer.
It is also worth noting that it cancels all the effects instead of its revelation effect, so it will cancel like surge.
Yeah.
Or things like that.
Yeah.
So at lower player counts, like it does significantly more, but you can't hit other people's encounter cards still.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Sick. All right. What does this archetype synergize with? Well, token manipulation from the Mystic archetype. Working primarily with events, you don't want to flub your high impact tests. This also works, yes, like you're going to have spells that you're going to really want to hit, but if you're committing a Spectral Razor to an enemy you really want to kill, having a little token manipulation in your package would be very good to ensure that you don't mess up and lose that card. Because when you're working primarily with other resources, like not things that are like assets that are in play or things that you like just always have on hand, that once they're one and done, being able to like ensuring that they work and like hit is very key to making sure you succeed. This also synergizes with, this one always is a bit obvious, consistent resource generation. You'll need both cards and resources to ensure you can take full advantage of this archetype. So just, it's less of a synergy and more of like a, you want this, like put this with your deck, especially with this one. Like there are some archetypes where you can get away with card draw, with not having card draw or not having resources depending on the archetype. This one wants them both and it's hungry for both. So just be aware of that when you're building. The last thing it synergizes with, notably, is the Mystic Charges archetype, which we should have a video out in 5 weeks, going by this schedule. Many cards in the Charges archetype are spells, meaning you can take advantage of them with some cards from this archetype. Just a little bit of crossover, because they both revolve around spells. Travis, you know what time it is, everybody. It's time for Travis to talk about a deck he made probably 6 months ago now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yes, this is a Mary Lambeau deck where you want to play spells, and it looks like it's another one of them toolbox decks that I like to build so much. Because we're playing 2 copies of Word of Command to dig out the spells that we want, and to find them, and for targets for that, we are playing a single copy of War Protection, a single copy of level 3 Storm of Spirits, a single copy of Astral Travel, a single copy of Moonlight Ritual, a single copy of level 5 Azure Flame, and a single copy of level 4 Sixth Sense. You'll notice that this deck has a lot of experience in it, 35, and that is true, but that is all supplemented by this fancy arcane research down here, which will make your Sixth Sense and Azure Flame upgrades in particular less feel bad. For the off-color cards that Maria is allowed to play, the non-purple ones, we're playing 2 copies of Hawkeye Folding Camera because this is primarily a clue-gathering deck. Boosting up your brain is just always good. And then boosting that book up to 5 for just like normal investigations on your off turns is a pretty solid place to be. We also got 2 copies of Crack the Case, which is like a fantastic economy card. We also have 2 copies of Divermus Mysterious here, as Mary absolutely wants some cards to have Doom on them, so we should get her free action every turn. And this one also plays well with our big pile of 1 of events, where you probably don't need to play Astral Travel twice in a game, but like if you do, you can.
Yeah.
For some of the other just solid purple cards here, you got Holy Rosary to boost up that brain to a comfortable 5/6 with the Hawkeye Folding Camera. 2 Robes of Endless Night. This is the upgraded version though, Justin, which can be pretty. Playing the card not provoking attacks opportunity has some like really niche uses. Not really niche, but like very powerful niche uses where like if you're engaged to an enemy, you can astral travel away without provoking attack of opportunity and then resign. Just an example. For the allies, we have, of course, Mr. Samedi, because you have to. 2 Arcane Initiates, because again, it gets Doom on it for that extra action, and it'll help you dig out the spells that you need, including Word of Command. And then 2 Diana Esperance. Diana is the reason that there is only a single copy of level 2 Ward of Protection in the deck. because you slapped on like, man, if you need more than like 4 ward protections in a game, what are you doing, right?
Yeah, especially as a
she also
mystic.
functions very strong with several of the other options. Like, you're never going to need 4 copies of Astral Travel, but 4 copies of Read the Signs is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Or like 4 copies of Storm of Spirits in like Dream Eaters in particular is like, whoo. The Charisma is there, so that way when you draw Baron Stampede, it doesn't immediately explode your Diana. Because that feels really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I think this works, but you might be able to stick Mystifying Song onto Diana as well, which seems like really, really good.
Does it remove itself from the game after casting?
I think Mystifying Song removes itself from the game as part of playing it.
After it's played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Gosh darn
That's
game
fair.
designers
That
always
sense.
ruining our fun.
Yeah, and then the rest of the deck is just good. You got like some guts in here. You got some Cage of Souls to be able to play your cards. You got some Deny Existences, because why wouldn't you? And some Read the Signs to get those clues again.
Yeah.
This is a cool deck.
Yeah, it's a cool deck. And honestly, once we've like built that the dumb Daisy Divermis Mysterious deck, I really want to see like an actual deck built around it, because I think it's really cool, and I think this is a great way of taking advantage of Divermis Mysterious and having some fun and some good power with it. And toolbox decks is, oh my god, let's speak English. Toolbox decks are very fun. They're definitely not for every player, but I think they are something that a lot of players should like pick up and like start to slowly learn how to play a toolbox deck, because it's very satisfying just being able to find the pieces you need when you need them and just feeling like you have every problem under control. So I highly recommend this deck if you're looking for specifically a Spell Events Matter deck, but double specifically if you're looking for a Marie Lambeau deck.
Yeah,
Sick.
I bet a bunch you were hoping for Parallel Agnes deck, weren't you?
Yeah, joke's on you, viewers. I honestly don't even know. Everyone says that I would love Parallel Skids. I haven't even read the card, to be honest.
Oh my god, Justin.
So he gets to play 6 copies.
You get to play Lucky a lot, is what it does.
Yeah.
That sounds fun, but then the downside is you have to play Skids. But I know he's Parallel Skids, but I just have that bias in my head.
Fuck you.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week with a Rogue Archetype, and then after that, Survivor, and then probably, honestly, we go right back to the top and do it over and over and over again. If there's any specific archetypes you want to see that we haven't made yet, let us know in the comments, because I do pull from the comments for the videos that we're going to do. And also, if you think you know an archetype that Travis hasn't made a guide for, let us know, because if you're right, you win a prize, and that prize is a video based on that archetype.
Yeah, you guys have yet to find one, so.
It's true, yeah. That's a challenge. That's a direct challenge. See if you can get one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.